Hello, and welcome to Cheers. That's one woman's opinion. I am your host, Carolyn Mills. Today we'll be looking at Cheers Season 2, Episode 8, Manager Coach. This episode first aired November 24th, 1983. It was directed by James Burrows. It was written by Glenn Charles, Les Charles, James Burrows, and Earl Pomerantz. Pomerantz died in 2020 from undisclosed cause. The guest cast includes Herb Mitchell as Mort Sherwin. Mitchell died in 2011, also from an undisclosed cause. Elliot Scott as Pee Wee. Corey Feldman as Moose. Martin Davis as Tank. Paul Vaughn as Paul. And Alan Floss as Alan. Cheers is filmed in front of a live studio audience. Is not set in this episode. It goes straight to the cold open. So let's go on to our summary. In the cold open, the phone rings and it's for Carla. It's one of the kids. They can't get the baby to stop crying. Carla sings "Tu Ra Lu Ra Lu Ra." That's an Irish lullaby. And the others join in. And I'm going to give you a bonus fact today of our little known facts. Um, John Ratzenberger actually started crying while singing this song because it hit him and in a way that made him emotional. So, because you see his face, and then when it goes back to where he's sitting, the woman next to him has her hand on his shoulder, and it's because he had started crying. After they finish, Carla whispers, "She's asleep." The gang all cheer, and the baby starts to cry again. Carla thanks everyone for their help. Where Everybody Knows Your Name plays. Cliff comes in and buys a round for everyone because he just got a raise at the post office. It's interesting that Cliff just got a raise at the post office because we hear constantly from other postal employees, and obviously the fact that just he's always in the bar, he's not very good at his job. He loves his job, but he's apparently not very good at it because he gets complaints quite often. He mentions in another episode, I think it's in the rec years, that they remind him how much vacation time he has. So he's not well liked. And again, he's always at the bar. Um, we know obviously, and I hate to give anything away, we know that coming up in season 11 with the fire, there's the whole mailbag getting burned. So yeah. But some places give you raises basically every year unless you get fired. It's not necessarily because you deserve it. It's more like the cost of living adjustment thing. So Norm congratulates Cliff, and Cliff offers to loan him $500 to get him back on his feet. Norm says yes and asks for it in cash. Cliff had expected him to say no. Mort comes in and tells Sam that his youth league manager quit. I'm curious why the manager quit. I don't say, but it just seems so wrong to me that one would quit during baseball season with kids. I mean, that's just not right for the kids. So that was the thought that I had there. But of course, we don't know. It could have been a reason that he had no choice, family reason, emergency type thing. He says that Sam is perfect for the job, but Sam says he doesn't have any time. Coach suggests himself, and Sam thinks that's a great idea. But Coach is concerned as he's never managed, only coached. And I was curious about this and did not look it up. Um, I've learned a lot about baseball. As I said, my family made us all pick teams, made me pick teams. They all actually like sports. And I actually like baseball now. I love baseball and I love my Red Sox. But I don't actually know what the difference between managing and coaching is. I know coaches are on the field with them because you see the coaches during the game. For the base coaches and the pitching coach. Well, he's not on. He's I think in the dugout. But you do see sometimes you see the coaches come onto the field. Is what I'm trying to say. But I'm not sure the manager does. I know in school we had managers for the teams, and they kind of carried the equipment. I think. So I'm not really sure what the manager's job is. So anybody who knows baseball or any sport really well and could explain to me exactly what the manager does, feel free to email me. That'd be a great, or comment on whatever you're listening to, where they have the comment section, um, or the Facebook, Twitter, etc. But yeah, go ahead and just explain to me, what does manager do? Because I'm not really sure. But Moore agrees that Coach would also be a great manager for the team. Diane has a bad feeling about Coach managing the Little League team. She is concerned that it will be too hard for Coach, and Sam explains that it's a guy thing and that Diane would not understand it. Carla asks Sam about breastfeeding at the bar. Sam tells her it's cheaper than a piano player. The reason that Carla wants to breastfeed is she has to run home on her breaks and lunch and random other times to whatever the baby needs to eat to feed the baby, since she's the only one that can do it. Um, so she thinks it'd be easier if she could leave the baby in the office and then just go in there and feed her. Yeah, this one's a girl, Anne Marie. Feed her when needed. Cliff comes in. Norm asks him about the money. He wants Norm to fill out a loan application. However, Norm is offended. And it's understandable that Norm would be offended because Cliff asked him if he wanted to borrow the money to help him out. He didn't actually approach Cliff first. So that is kind of offensive, especially since they're like best friends. Norm explains Norm explains he wouldn't have asked if he didn't really need the money. And again, he didn't ask, Cliff asked him. Cliff claims he was only kidding around. Norm says he has to pay bills and should get something for Vera. And it's interesting because either this was filmed out of order because he wants to get something for Vera. And if you remember, Vera and him are currently split up. So either it's out of order and he's getting something for Vera because they're together, or, and this is what I think probably happened, he's getting something for Vera because he's working on trying to get her back. Although not too hard. Because when Cliff suggests a dinner, Norm says, okay, let's go and we'll go discuss it. So Cliff's actually suggesting he takes, sorry, brain freeze. He's suggesting that Norm takes his wife out to dinner. But obviously that's not Norm does. He takes Cliff. Coach comes in with a little league baseball team, the Titans. Coach introduces them to Sam and Diane, and then he introduces all the kids by their nicknames: Pee Wee, Moose, Goose, Juice, the Chancellor of the Bull, the Cannonball Express, Specs, and the Dynamic Duo. And I love the Moose, Juice, Goose part because all the names rhyme, and I love that. Coach says that so far they have worked on nicknames, but now it's time to get in shape. Diane gives a speech about kids, and Specs pinches her rear, and Coach kicks him off the team. He explains, however, that he's not kicking him off for pinching Diane's tushy. It's actually that Specs has not been playing well, and he says the only thing he's had his hands on all season was Diane's rear. Norm and Cliff are talking baby talk in a bassinet to the bassinet. Carla comes out with the baby and asks them who they're talking to, and they realize they were talking to a toy duck. Carla sits down to breastfeed the baby. Norm and Cliff freak out, so Carla takes the baby into Sam's office. And I thought, as I watched this scene and the B plot here, that it's kind of sad as not much has changed. People are still freaked out by breastfeeding. It's a natural thing. I mean, I don't think a woman should necessarily be flinging her breast all over the place like that, but you're feeding a kid, it's natural. Usually women have that cloth thing. I don't know what the technical terms are because I have no kids. Um, so they're covered. It's just there, and you might see something if you walk by at the wrong angle, whatever. It's not a big deal. But some things, I mean, it's been 42 years now since this episode aired, and some things just don't change. And it's kind of sad. Anyway, the guys talk modestly about who would want to see that. Alan then holds up a copy of Playboy and asks them if they've seen Miss June, and the guys make catcalls. So again, I mean, they're very hypocritical about it too. I mean, he says, who would want to see this? And then they're happily looking at that magazine. and clearly not reading it for the articles. Diane and Sam discuss Coach. Diane said he's become a tyrant. Sam points out that the team is winning, and that's what matters. But Diane disagrees. Sam says that Coach is just being dedicated. Cliff says that Coach would have what it takes to make a postal carrier. I love how um Cliff says this, like, and he even says he's never said that about a man before, that somebody has to have a dedication like this to be a postal carrier, because he's so into his job he doesn't think anybody else is qualified. Norm adds the inability to recognize the word fragile. Coach returns and is upset that his team won because they only won by one run and he wanted to crush the other team. Diane says, "There's a fun guy." Sam says he's having men's fun, not women's fun. Diane asks him if he believes what he's saying, and Sam says no, he's lying, but that's another fun thing men like to do. Diane says that Coach is obsessing, and she knows because she had OCD with neatness, so she knows what she's talking about. And it's interesting, Diane here points out that she has OCD because we've seen her facial tic, and obviously it comes back in later episodes. Um, that tic is linked to I was gonna say ADHD, linked to OCD. That's an obsessing compulsive thing to do, or compulsive, because she does it without realizing when she gets stressed out. So that OCD has been seen, and we'll see it again. But she explains that her apron had to be pencil, pen, pad. Now she is more flexible. However, she looks down and says she cannot have pad, pen, pen, pencil, pencil. Cliff pats Sam on the shoulder. I think that moment where he pats him on the shoulder gets missed by a lot of people. That like, hey, sorry, you've got to deal with her type thing. Coach comes out of the office and takes some Tums. Sam tells him he's been taking them a lot, but Coach says they're not working. Sam tells Coach that if he's not going to work, that Sam may have to replace him because he's been so busy with the team, he hasn't been doing his job. Coach tells him, "Do what you want to do, just stay out of my office." Another line I think sometimes goes under the radar that people don't get when he actually says "my office" because he's so focused on what he's doing. Diane and Sam go into the office to have a talk with Coach. Diane tells him that the kids need to have fun. Coach realizes his team is not having fun and yells, "Well, they're gonna have fun or they're not gonna play on my team." You see, even here, he's kind of like a tyrant, demanding fun. And for personal reason, this line always makes me laugh when he says that they're gonna have fun or not play. Because growing up, I'm the youngest of eight kids, as I said, and before I was born, they went on a lot more trips. They were old by the time they got to me. Mom was 40 when she had me. Dad was 41. Um, so we had gone as many, but we would still do some trips, and I mean, we had fun. But Dad would always say to us, "You're going to have fun whether you like it or not." And Mom would say, "Albert, you cannot demand somebody has fun. That's they either do or they don't. You cannot force something. That's not something you can force." So I always laugh when I hear that line. Sam tells Coach to take a deep breath. Coach takes a deep breath and holds it as Sam talks. Sam tells him, "Coach, let it out." Sam tells him that he was a good coach because he cared. Coach says he was a lovely man. Diane asks what it's going to cost him to win. Coach tells her, "Well, I had to buy a jock strap and he goes on about things he needed." And again, I love Coach's naiveness, whatever that word is, that he's literally taking it literal as to what he had to buy to become a manager. Carla knocks and asks about her baby, and Sam tells her to come in. She says she just wants to check on her. Sam tells Coach to do what he wants with his team, and then he and Diane leave. Carla burps her daughter, and Coach says, "I wish I could do that." Carla burps Coach, and he thanks her. Nice little moment here between Carla and Coach. And again, we see everyone loves Coach, even Carla, who's always nasty to everyone. Um, Even at times she's been nasty to Woody when he comes on, but she's very nice to Coach. She even when I mean he messes up, she's like, "It's okay." And I think It's that father figure. She very much respects him because he's older, even if he's not all that bright. Diane doesn't know why Sam told Coach he could do what he wants. And I thought, oh, this Coach is an adult. Sam really can't tell him what to do, neither can Diane. It is up to him. They gave him their advice, told him their take on things. It really is. It's at this point, it's up to Coach. But Sam says that Coach is happy, the families are happy, and the kids are happy. The kids come in and explain they are miserable. Coach comes out of the office and Diane tells him the team wants to quit. Tank tells him, my parents hate me and I'm starting to smoke again. And obviously, today this would not go well with the kid saying that he's starting to smoke. But I'm not gonna lie, that line always makes me laugh. It's the way he delivers it. I forget who plays Tank. I have it here 1 second. Tank was played by Martin Davis. I would actually love to interview him, but I could not find his information. I have the IMDb Pro to look up people, and he is not listed on there, so I'm guessing he doesn't act anymore, but I don't even know. Um, but he does that line so well. Coach tells them that no one is quitting and says he has a story. Then he asks Diane for a story because he doesn't have one. Sam suggests that he tells a story about the Pledge of Allegiance. So Coach tells him about how he had trouble learning the Pledge of Allegiance, and the teacher told him in his class, no one leaves until Pantuso remembers. And Coach was laughed at and humiliated. I tell you, when I heard the story, it kind of angered me because I have a degree in teaching. I don't teach in schools. I did pre-K for a little bit for about 3 years and then for like a month. Um, but I have I'm on disability and I do tutoring from home. And I'm teaching. It's still a form of teaching. I love to do it. And I think anyone that humiliates a child like that should lose their job automatically. And I think probably now they do. I mean, obviously 43 years ago is it was different times and everything. And I remember being in first grade in art class, and I hated art until recently because now I'm not getting graded. But anyway, my art teacher in first grade yelled at me because my circle was not perfectly round. And I was trying my best, but I could not make a perfectly round circle on my own. And on top of that, I'm left-handed. Well, I'm ambidextrous, but I would cut. I would use the left hand scissors to cut. She forced me to use the right hand scissors. My parents went and dealt with that, but I'd already mastered cutting with the right hand, and now I just can't cut with my left hand, and not very good with my right hand either. When it comes to cut, I'm just not a good cutter in general. But so I relate to this. It angers me both as a person who's experienced humiliation and as a person who has been teaching because I care about kids and it's wrong. So I just wanted to say that. Anyway, Coach says it was the worst day of his life. Sam says, but you finally learned the Pledge of Allegiance. Coach says that he never learned it. Sam says, but you respected him for trying to help. Coach disagrees again and said he was glad when that teacher died. Coach thinks that he has told the wrong story, but Diane disagrees and says that she told the right one because he doesn't want the kids to hate him. Coach tells them there are going to be some changes. Practices will be less, everyone plays, and if they win, they win, and if they lose, well, tough noogies. I had a teacher, speaking of teachers, I had a math teacher in sixth grade. His name was Mr. Vakula, and he used to say tough noogies all the time. It's the only other place I've heard it. Coach tells Carla to give the kids sodas until they drop, and he's buying. And then Coach tells Diane, if we lose tomorrow, it's your book. Diane says, there's the coach. That Diane says they have their coach back and rambles on. So Sam tells her, your pad is upside down there. And Diane screams. Not like a but like shock scream. Anyway, that's our episode. In our discussion, I have given this episode 4 out of 5 beer nuts. Coach is such a sweet guy. Who better to manage the little league team? At least that's what everyone thought until Coach turned into a tyrant. It was a funny episode, and I think they wanted to stretch Cal Santos' acting muscles and not have him always play the lovable oaf that everyone sees all the time. And thankfully, he's not the man we dislike for long. The MVP, of course, went to Nicholas Colasanto. He does a great job playing that different type person where he's obsessed with winning, not just winning, but crushing them. And the kids hate, I mean, nobody ever hates Coach. Totally different thing. And he does a great job playing that off. Best dress was Sam Malone. In the cold open, he had the shirt that was like tannish with a white collar, very 80s. I really like that. And then his shirt at the end is like I can't know if it was green or blue. It's like somewhere in maybe greenish blue. But that was another great shirt. Our Grand Slam line. Coach says, Sam, I'll be back before you know I'm gone. I'll probably be back before I even know I'm gone. Our on base line. Diane says, just let me do the talking. Sam says, you won't even know I'm there. And Diane says, much like last night. And that's referring back another time when he said, she says, over my dead body. And he says, I thought we weren't bringing last night into this. So apparently something happened at night where Sam wasn't quite with it. Here's a little known fact, which I already gave you the $1 plus, so this is the real one. Corey Feldman, who played Moose, also played a little leaguer, Reggie Tower, in the 1979 movie The Bad News Bears. If you like this episode, please like, click, subscribe, all that stuff. And of course, you can follow us on Facebook at Cheers. You can join the Facebook group at Cheers. That's One Woman's Opinion. You can follow us on Instagram at Cheers One Woman's Opinion Podcast. You can follow us on Twitter X at One Woman's Opinion. And as always, you can email us with questions, suggestions, comments, etc. And the answer to that thing about managers, I'm hoping to get an email. Cheers, One Woman's Opinions podcast at gmail.com. Tomorrow, we will have a special episode for the anniversary of George Vent's birthday with a rewatching of House, which for me is original, which was a 1985 movie. And next week will be Cheers Season 2, Episode 9, They Call Me Mayday. And that's One Woman's Opinion.